came to ACL with us twice.
Yeah.
One year.
I came 3 times.
3.
Yeah.
Do you remember which years?
11, 13, and 17.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I remember one year you came literally last minute. Remember?
Oh, that
Literally
was
the
13.
night before,
It was the
because-
night before. It was so funny. I was working that internship at Channel 6, and Riley just texted me. He's like, "Yo, my dad's friend Chico just backed out, dude. Do you want to go to ACL?"
You're like, yeah. What? So
like,
who played
hell
that
yeah.
year? That was
I remember we saw Tame Impala probably 4 or 5 right before Kendrick Lamar, and remember just getting
Grimes.
remember getting completely swamped though by those Kendrick Lamar kids.
Oh yeah, all the kids in the braces.
Jesus, that was terrible.
But I remember each year we had, I feel like it was me and Riley had it too. Like each year we had a specific song or some joke the whole
Yeah.
entire year. Well, I think one of them was definitely Tanner. We would just yell for Tanner.
Oh yeah,
But then
for sure.
I think it might have been the first year you came.
That was CMYK.
CMYK, like I found her. Damn, red coat.
I don't think we ever found the red coat, man.
I don't think we did. So I was trying to remember the first time I remember having any contact with you. So you've known Riley for how long?
Well, I mean, there's this old picture of Riley and I and our other friend Tyler sitting on top of St. Augustine in 4th grade.
Right.
Which was, Jesus, that would have been 2003, 2002. So it's going on probably a good 15 years that I've known him.
Yeah. And it's funny because I feel like later in my life I've kind of assimilated myself into you and Tracy, and you guys have all become friends of mine too.
Yeah.
But I was trying to remember when the first contact I had with you. I feel like I think just because you were with Riley a lot.
It had to
just
probably, it would probably have to be at your house sometime. I mean, I would go over to your house all the time, obviously, and watch you guys play and stuff.
And jam and stuff.
Yeah, especially when you were playing with Ian and Zach Covert and all that.
R.I.P. Zach.
Oof.
No, but he didn't actually die, just for the people listening. Well,
I miss you, Zach.
Shout out, Zach.
I miss you.
But I feel like I probably remember you doing you filming all the stupid videos and stuff.
Yeah, I mean, I've been into...
When did that start? When did you get into that?
Oh my god. Well, it's weird. I was always into movies and stuff, but I remember my dad showed me Pulse, the Pink Floyd live show.
Yeah.
And that screen in the back with all of their crazy music videos, with Division Bell and everything, and all of their old music videos. That circular screen in the back of Pulse was the original inspiration of me wanting to get into music videos and film.
Right. Do you remember what was the first? Did it start in high school? When you were doing TV productions and stuff? Was that what set you down that path, or?
Well, my original interest was golf, and I was playing golf since I was probably 8 or 9.
Yeah.
And then once I hit high school, when I was 14, I tried out for the golf team, and I hated the coach.
Oh yeah.
So I was like, you know what? I'm gonna try drama. So I ended up getting into drama, and then that kind of also came in with TV productions.
And film and stuff?
Yeah, exactly. I kind of made the two things go hand in hand.
Yeah. Did you start, was yours, you and Danny did The Last Dance, right?
I didn't do The Last Dance. I was just some random guy in the background
But
with Tyler.
was that in the first one, or has that always been?
What do you mean?
I always thought you guys made it. You guys were the first ones. I
I
remember
we were the
you
first
were, right?
Last Dance. I mean, how many are there now? 3?
Dude, I literally saw on Facebook the other day they're still doing it.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But that's right? You guys were the first.
Yeah,
you guys were in the first one, right?
Because they would always have the mock car crash before prom, to send that message out. But
yeah.
Jeremy Hicks, which was a kid in our TV productions class, came up with that idea, The Last Dance, and so I guess that was the first one.
Because I think I remember even when I was in high school, they had some of the last days they would just play all these videos over and over again, and the original one was on, and I would be in class by myself, and I'd see you and Danny on the screen. I'm like, yo, I know them.
Yeah.
And
yeah.
Oh my gosh, one of my favorite stories from you doing the videos was the one you did where Tyler died in it, and everyone thought he actually died. Can you give me the background on that? What was the video?
Well, it was when Minutes to Midnight by Linkin Park came out,
Oh God.
and I was obsessed with What I've Done, and
Oh yeah. Those Transformers era, right?
it was, man.
What?
Yeah, exactly. And basically, I wanted to make a music video for that song so bad. It was TV when I was a sophomore, and it was like the first serious TV thing I personally like edited
Yeah.
and like kind of made from the inception of it. But it was just Tyler always had this joke with me where he would just end up like dead. It was just a random stupid inside joke, and we were thinking, God, it would be this is me talking, Christ, over 10 years ago. Oh, wouldn't it be so funny if like we just had made everyone just think you died, like. And then it just turned into this like serious music video, and people started interpreting it as like a anti-bullying campaign.
Yeah.
Because the premise of the video was our friend Kyle was bullying Tyler, and David and I, who were in the video, were just bystanders.
Right.
And didn't do anything about it. And everyone made it into this anti-bullying campaign, and it ended up getting a lot of attention.
Yeah.
And we had a little memorial at the end where it said, "Rest in peace, Tyler Ellinger,
And so everyone thought he was-
1992 to 2008."
Oh my God.
And like by midday, by like fourth period, we had to pull it
Yeah, because people were
because
being too
people were.
serious.
Cause I think Mr. Kells had some sort of message from the principal or something saying,
Yeah.
we can't do this.
Another one I remembered was the cat one. You remember the cats that lived under the portables?
Which cat one, man? I mean,
Did you have them in everyone? There was one where you put black dice in it. Do you remember that?
Kokomo? Yeah.
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 What was that one? It was like a trippy video, and then you like just filming the cats, right?
Tyler just picked up a can of soda off the ground, and our friend Allie just said, "Tyler, don't drink that," and then he just collapses, and then this weird trippy thing just starts happening.
Yeah.
And that was probably around the time I started to really get into effects and just the trippy kind of vibe I like doing in music videos even today.
Yeah.
So that was definitely the origination of that. I mean, I always thought it would be funny, how many effects can I put on this one clip without it looking or whatever? Like, and that was just the way it was. It was a good kind of creative outlet, I guess.
Yeah, what would you say is like the... No, don't get the cat on the mic. Cat on the mic. Cat on the mic. I was gonna say, what is your favorite part about... Like, what is the feeling that you get when you're making a video? Like, is it directing it, or is it editing it, or is it just getting the whole idea out there? Like, what is it? Because for music, it's almost... I kind of feel... I can relate to other people's passions in that way, because... It's super satisfying when you get all these parts and you get them together, and when you edit it, and even the few like video ideas I had that I've done like the stupid ones on Instagram or whatever. It's so satisfying when you cut it at the right time and you get that perfect edit, because I know you've done music videos for me and Riley and stuff, and that's always my favorite part. Like what is your just, I guess, editing philosophy, or just music video philosophy?
Well, the traditional way to do these things obviously are to have a storyboard and to plan it all out from inception and pre-production. And I absolutely hate that. I really do. I truly believe the best thing to do is to just pick up a camera and just hit record,
Yeah.
and just capture everything and anything. And while it's exciting to have that mentality, because life happens, anything could happen like that, and you just happen to catch that moment. And basically, like, I just really liked the whole it's like an improv of filmmaking in a way,
Right, like guerrilla filmmaking.
Exactly. And it's really thrilling when you finally upload all of your clips into whatever program you're using, and it just works.
Yeah.
No matter how goofy or stupid the footage is, you can make anything work.
Mm-hmm.
And that's just the beauty of filmmaking and everything. And it just goes to show unless you're millions of dollars are on the line, and you obviously need to make something for a client, in the professional world. Yes, okay, do a storyboard.
Right.
But when you're
it's just your buddies,
when it's just your friends and you're trying to just hone your skills, if you want to just do it freelance for the rest of your life, or if you want to do it professionally, you can learn both ways by doing, you know, this guerrilla filmmaking or whatever.
Yeah, and also I feel like the music video is a dying art. I feel like that whenever I think of my favorite music videos, it's like a specific era. Like I want to say like the mid 2000s. I think of like the Killers videos. I think made a big impression on me. My Chemical Romance. Arctic Monkeys have some really cool music videos.
Yeah.
But what are some of your favorite music videos?
I think my original favorite music video is Sledgehammer.
Oh, Peter Gabriel, right?
Yeah. I mean, that was, I think it was like ranked one of the best music videos ever made or whatever, and it was so innovative at the time. I mean, with all the stop motion and everything, but I mean, when it comes to music videos, I like things that just have a really good overall kind of arching theme of like just, you know, time progression, I guess.
Yeah.
Like it's really random, but Moby just came out with a book.
I was reading about that today.
And there was this stupid montage he made on the Facebook ad, and it was Two Extreme Ways by him. And the montage is just like really kind of, you know, nothing moments of his life, and it's just when he was young playing shows in Brooklyn and like a broke kid to now when he's like obviously, you know, kind of a rock star, I guess.
Yeah.
And he's, you know, he's playing shows that are just selling out in minutes. Like he played a show in Brooklyn when I was up there, and it literally sold out in 30 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
And a ticket originally was like $30, but then people were reselling for like $400.
That's the game today.
Yeah, I mean, and it's crazy, man. And they actually get away with it, but just I don't know. The whole way that specific montage for that ad for that book was kind of cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is there a specific style that you like? Because I know for me, I feel like I tend to gravitate towards like simplicity, and a lot of like it's a really dumb music video, but Arctic Monkeys video for Cornerstone, when it's just Alex Turner on a white background with a red sweater, just like singing into like a crappy like VHS.
Yeah.
Like that stuff. I like a very simple thing where you can pick it apart and you can see little details, which the idea for our teeth puller video
I was going to say that actually.
where I shaved Riley's head, like that is right up my alley. Like is that something you like too, or do you like more edited stuff? Because you've done more edited.
I like both. Yeah. I like both extremes. I mean, I'm obviously a big effects buff myself. When I'm doing things on my own time, I like doing that. But I mean, I've always been a huge fan of Hot Fuzz and Shaun of the Dead with the quick edits.
Yeah.
And kind of like the kind of shit. But I mean, I can go both ways. I feel like the most, you know, successful editors are the most diverse ones, you know, people that can do both. So I don't really particularly prefer either, but I mean, at the end of the day, the more effects, better.
Yeah. A lot of the references that you mentioned have been all British, I think.
Oh, really?
Yeah, Shaun of the Dead.
Yeah, fuck yeah. Oh, God damn it.
I wanted to bring that up. Like, so your dad was born, where was your dad born?
My dad was born in a small...
Bloody hell.
He was born in Cornwall, England, which is the southern westernest most bit of England. I suppose they could be labeled as the rednecks of England.
Yeah. So did you get a lot of obviously did you get a lot of British influence from him growing up? Like was he into that kind of music and that like those movies and stuff? Like
yeah, ironically enough, I could not fucking stand music until I was probably like 13 years old.
Really?
I mean, I just thought music was this thing that everyone liked, and I just didn't want to like it just because of that. I mean, I'm still a prick like that, but
au contrary, Bobby.
Yeah, but it like I mentioned earlier, that Pulse.
Did your dad show you that?
My dad showed me that, and that was the moment that really got me into music, I think.
Yeah.
And Pink Floyd was my kind of OG favorite band, I suppose you could say. And it just kind of went from there. I would play, you know, because I'm always into video games, I would play, you know, computer games and just have the fucking wall on repeat 3 times, you know?
Yeah.
And I would just do that kind of stuff. But, and then meeting your brother was probably the next closest major turning point of my music style. Yeah. I mean, I've always kind of really dug what he liked, you know, minus Death Grips, but that's another story.
We won't get into that. It's too political.
But
so your dad was born in Cornwall, England, you said?
Yeah.
And then when did he come over here?
Well, he ended up moving to Spain in the early 80s.
Yeah.
and meeting my mom at a birthday party. And
In Spain?
In Spain.
Okay.
And my mom was born and raised here in Orlando.
Right. That's what was so like when I met you. You lived in Florida, but you have an American accent, but you would say like, "Oh bloody hell," and I was like, "What is it? Why?" But then I was like, "Oh, I didn't know. Like your dad's British, and so you lived there, right?
I did live there, yeah.
For how long? You weren't born there though, right?
I was born in DeLand. I lived here for a year before I moved there.
And then how long were you there?
And then I was there for 4 years.
Okay.
And
do you remember much from that?
I actually do. It's really weird. I mean, I have such fond memories there. I mean, I still dream of it all the fucking time, as cheesy as that sounds, but I have fond memories as a kid. Some of my first memories, I mean, little fun fact, the first song I ever remember hearing was "The Boys Are Back in Town"
Oh yeah.
by,
Thin Lizzy?
Yeah, Thin Lizzy. And I just remember jumping on the bed when I was like 2, 3 years old.
Yeah.
And that was like that was the first song I ever remember hearing.
Right.
Which is just one of those weird things where, do you ever have those things where you just remember a random thing?
Oh yeah,
from like when you were 3
a
or
super
4?
specific, like even just like the position you are in the hallway.
Yeah.
And then a specific like something like that. As I remember, did you ever play the Zelda games?
I didn't, but
so
I
there's this one Majora's Mask, and there's the mask in the game is like kind of creepy, and I just specifically remember like playing it and running down my hallway and being scared because I would have to run to the bathroom.
No shit.
And specifically in my head, I remember like that mask just in my head and just like a very specific thing like you're saying like that. But so you were there until you were 4?
5.
4 or 5?
I think, yeah. We moved back in 1997, I believe. It was around the time Princess Diana died, which is another random thing I remember.
Oh, yeah?
And I remember my mom being really upset because she was always into Princess Diana.
And Rachel, your sister, was
Rachel
born
was
there,
born
right?
there, yeah. She was born in 95 over there.
And so when you moved back, what do you remember from that? Did it feel like a big change? Because in my head, as a kid, if you're like 4 or 5, I feel like I wouldn't know the difference.
Yeah, kind of.
For some reason.
Definitely. I'm very, very particular when it comes to that. I have no idea why. But no, when I first came here, it was really strange because obviously the first year of my birth I don't remember, so I don't remember living here at all.
Right.
And I still talked in a funny accent.
Oh yeah.
And I just remember getting fucking nailed on and just bullied for just having a different accent.
It's so weird. I'm sure it's still a thing today, but I feel like it's such a generational thing to be like a guy with a kid with a British accent, like, yo, screw this kid. Look at this
seriously.
nerd.
I mean, 5, 6 years old, and you literally all you know is DeBerry, Florida. So it's like a fucking alien walking in the room, kind of.
Yeah.
But I mean, I made the best out of it, I guess. It obviously affected me socially from day one, but I just learned to, claim it as my own and just go on with it, I guess. Like,
right.
What you're supposed to do, right?
And so you went back to England. Was it a year ago? Last summer?
Yeah, I visited last summer, actually.
Yeah.
It was the first time I went there since 2006. And I mean, it was great, man. It was a great time. I mean, I went there with my buddy John, who I lived with up in New York.
Right.
We ended up going to Amsterdam for a few days, too. I got to meet my niece and nephews, which was cool.
That's cool.
I mean, they're fucking hell, 4, 5, 6 years old.
Your brother
now.
Aaron lives in Amsterdam?
No, Aaron lives in Litchfield, which is
okay.
in the Midlands, and then my brother Jason lives just outside of Amsterdam, and then my sister Lisa lives near Birmingham.
Yeah.
But it was just really neat to meet all of them and to see my brothers and sister again, and like it was great, man. I mean, John only stayed for 2 weeks. I ended up staying for 5.
Yeah. You
So
were there a while.
that
was during the World Cup too, right?
That was the only reason I ended up going. The reason I went is because USA couldn't even fucking qualify for the World Cup. I always say that if they did make the World Cup, I probably would have never have gone.
Yeah. but so you went in 2006 as well?
I did.
How old would you have been?
13.
13. And so when at around that time, what was your relationship or your mentality about, like, did you miss England? Did you miss, or like,
when I was 13 years old, dude, I fucking hated society. I was in middle school. I hated everything. I was a militant atheist. I fucking hated. And I just didn't want anything to do with this country. I wanted to move back to England so bad.
Yeah. So you're all anti.
I
So you're
was.
excited to go back,
I
right?
was. Oh my god, dude! It was like I remember it was like heaven. It really was. I was like, this is where I want to be. This is where I need to be. This is where I everything. And I remember my parents saying, "Oh, once the dollar drops back or gets more strength against the pound, we're gonna move back." And obviously we never fucking did.
Yeah.
But as the years went on, and as I got into high school, I found drama. I found TV, and it was the first time in my life where I started feeling kind of accepted. I guess, as stupid as that may sound.
In America specifically?
Not just
or
in America, just
the
in
world?
general.
Yeah.
Just I was finding my place, I suppose. I mean, before I was just a kid, a pissed off kid.
Yeah. Because I think a lot of people go through that, but having the whole like moving to a different country on top of that, I feel like that's got to be like an interesting thing to go through, or that would for sure make it more complicated. Like,
For
because in your
sure.
head, you're during that time, you're probably like, oh, it's because I'm here. Was that what it was? Like, did you feel like you're like, oh, the reason I feel this way is because I'm not in England?
It probably was back then, for sure.
Yeah.
I mean, I was just so gun ho about the whole England thing. I was such an Anglophania kind of person, I guess. I was just, and obviously my dad had a huge, cause behind that.
Yeah.
He was always fucking saying how he still fucking hates this country.
Yeah.
But I mean, as opposed to now, I've come to terms with this country, obviously, and like,
Yeah.
I love my home as much as I love it over there now. I just kind of adopted that point of view where you just need to make terms no matter where you are.
Right.
You just need to come to terms with it.
I've had that kind of revelation recently as too is like, you read about all these different countries and you're like, oh, it's so cool. I wish I was somewhere else. But then you come to realize the world it's different everywhere, but it's also the same, and that every place has
There's
its
bullshit
own.
everywhere.
It sounds like some hippie stuff, but it's like, man, we're all just like doing the same thing to where it's like,
Yeah.
I feel like it almost doesn't matter. Like, of course it'd be cool if you were born like in Spain and you're like a hot, like shredded boy. Like,
Yeah, dude. No, I totally feel that vibe. But there's also something that you need to think where like the whole lifestyle and culture is different. I mean, yeah,
Right.
everyone poops and pees and eats and sleeps.
yeah.
But I mean, not everyone takes a fucking siesta,
Yeah.
A nap in the middle of the day in Spain or whatever, like in those Mediterranean countries. And, not everyone eats fucking raw fish for,
Yeah.
Breakfast or whatever. So, I mean, it's just that whole, absorbing culture thing and appreciating culture is kind of what differentiates, here and there.
Yeah.
But beyond that, yeah, you're totally right. Everywhere is basically the fucking same. You're going to end up finding a group of friends. There's going to be bullshit amongst those friends.
Yeah.
And you're just going to go on living and fucking working and making money. And
Right.
that is what it is.
So going back to the whole like video production and stuff, obviously that's a big part of who you are and like what you like to do.
Mm-hmm.
So that set you down the path to go to college for it, right? What was your major was just a general communication thing,
Yeah,
right?
it was just communications and media studies basically. And I don't know, going to Stetson was a weird time of my life for sure. It was a transition to say the least.
Yeah.
And when I graduated, I really had no clue. Like, I was just that, young, positive dude that thought they were going to be a fucking director, and that
Yeah.
I was going to go from 0 to 100 like that.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, it was, obviously the furthest from the truth.
Yeah.
I ended up moving to New York.
That's what I was gonna say. It's like
Yeah.
it's cool because you'll have this thing that you do, this thing that you become obsessed with, and it might not work out exactly the way you are, but it brought you to go to New York. So like, how did that come about? It's because John was doing it for a while, right?
Yeah,
And then you kind
well-
of had a connection.
Yeah, John was doing it a good year and a half, 2 years before I ever even entered the picture.
Yeah.
And I was in a really shitty spot in my life, in 2015, around the time where I was starting to think about doing it.
Yeah.
And I literally just texted him and I said, "Hey, John, could you just get me a job?" And he's like, "Yeah, I probably could." And I was like, "You fucking serious?"
Yeah.
So, a couple months went by and an opportunity arose where they needed PAs on Beat Bobby Flay.
So this was in 2015.
This was the beginning of 2016 now.
Okay.
Yeah, all of my bullshit was in 15, and which was a catalyst to me wanting to definitely
Yeah.
move in 16.
And the first thing was beat Bobby Flay.
First thing,
Did you beat him?
I didn't beat him.
You didn't beat him?
No, I didn't. He was too
And then that's when
fucking
you
good.
moved back when you didn't beat him. I'll never beat Bobby
I
Flay.
will never be Bobby Flay, and I will never beat Bobby Flay.
He looked at you and goes, "You're Bobby, I'm Bobby."
There can only be one.
There can only be one Bobby. Could you
Yeah.
imagine if you beat Bobby Flay and then you became you are Bobby Flay.
You are Bobby Flay.
You become
that's
Bobby
That's
Flay.
like the award or the reward for winning the show. Yeah.
But you met him, right? Or you like
I
went
didn't
to some
meet
of
him
the
like
parties with him?
directly, but like I was in the same room with him. I remember buying him yogurt.
Oh,
I mean,
no.
I was a PA.
What yogurt? Chobani?
No, what the hell was it? It was Faye.
Okay.
It was specifically 2%.
This is out of my my yogurt vernacular.
It was specifically 2% Faye, and I had to go to so many fucking Whole Foods around Brooklyn.
Yeah.
And it was just a cool thing, you know. I mean,
Yeah, so you were doing PA stuff there
Yeah.
for that show, right?
I was doing PA probably 90% of my time in New York.
Yeah.
And I was just doing the most random shit. I mean, I would buy booze for Talon. I would drive vans I would drive a lot. I would just do the most random weird shit. I mean, it was so much I can't even really remember.
Because I thought a lot of it was you were driving a big truck, right?
I mean, that was definitely some of the jobs. I was driving
Yeah.
box trucks around Manhattan full of camera equipment, which was kind of fun.
Yeah, and it was during the winter, right? So was that
A bit of the
freaky?
time, yeah. I mean, it was something.
Were you like super? Dude, I feel like I could not do that job. If I showed up in New York and it was snowing and they were like, "Hey, can you drive this truck?"
Yeah,
I would be
no.
like, "No, I'm moving back." I would be so nervous.
I was at that point in my life where I was like, if I don't do it now, I'm never gonna do it.
Yeah.
Who can say they drove a fucking 24-foot box truck in Manhattan in fucking a foot of snow, full of camera gear, and if you weren't on time, you were gonna get fired, kind of shit, you know?
Yeah.
And it was just, I started looking at life as a challenge instead of like, woe is me.
Right.
Because I just picked up the philosophy where the more challenges you complete, I guess you like level up. I guess I maybe play too many video
Yeah.
games, but
you get new armor.
yeah, it's just, it's something, it's a weird way to look at life. Like just
Yeah.
you're constantly you always want to level up, I guess, and just having that experience behind your, you know, or under your belt or whatever the fuck they say, you know, it's just
Yeah.
it's a cool thing to actually, you know, say you did, I guess.
So you overall enjoyed living in New York? Like what? How?
Oh, yeah,
How was
I
that
mean-
whole? You were telling me earlier. You like. Your room was about the size of your car.
Yeah.
And you were paying like 5 times as much as I am paying for this.
Yeah, it was terrible, man. I mean, I was making good money, but I was also spending good money.
Yeah.
And
But was it like a fun struggle, or were you actually like?
there were good days and there were bad days.
Yeah.
Just like we were saying earlier. I mean, no matter where you are, we're going to put up with the same shit.
Yeah.
But you were in New York City.
Yeah.
And that in itself, like, oh, fuck, you're in the Big Apple. Like, it's such a novelty to just everyone, I guess. And
Yeah.
it's cool. I mean, I remember going to England and I met the sweetest bunch of kids, and they were more interested that I lived in New York City than I actually lived in Cornwall.
Oh
in
yeah.
England. Yeah. And I always, you know, here everyone's interested, oh, you lived in England, blah blah blah. But like New York City is such a thing, you know.
Yeah.
And it's such a cool kind of idea.
It's like an icon. It's like
Yeah.
it's an idea almost.
Exactly. And then when you get there, it's like a whole different fucking kettle of
Yeah.
fish. Like, Jesus Christ, I actually got to do shit.
So did you ever go there before you lived there?
I went there twice before I lived there. I went when I was like 16, and I absolutely loved it. I told myself
Yeah.
I'm living here.
Oh yeah, really?
Yep, I did.
That's cool.
And I did what I wanted to do, and that's kind of cool. And then I went once before, and that was with John about 2 years actually.
Was it when he was working there?
It was when he
doing
was
it?
moving back down here after his internship in New Jersey. But we spent the day in New York and had a blast. And again, when I went there, I was like, yep, I'm definitely wanting to live here. And when I was living there, it was definitely a time of reflection, I guess. It was a time of, this is who you are.
Yeah.
This is what you're doing. And you just need to get your head in the game and, you know, fuck the anxiety, fuck what your mind is telling you, and just do it, you know? I was working,
Yeah.
sometimes I'd be working 16, 17, 18-hour days. and
That's
I thought
crazy.
I was gonna die on days. You know, there was a day I was working on that NBC show Blind Spot,
Yeah.
and I didn't sleep at all.
Wait, what's that show?
It's this show about this woman with tattoos, and she has amnesia or something.
Is it like a?
It's like a primetime drama show.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's one of those crime things.
Okay.
But I didn't sleep at all the night before. My call time was like 5:45 a.m.
Whew.
And as a PA, I had to run to the coffee shop across the street to pick up a bunch of coffee orders.
Yeah.
And I thought to myself, I'm gonna get the fucking most strongest goddamn coffee. And I drank the strongest goddamn coffee, and I just remember literally thinking I was gonna die and like have a heart attack or like collapse.
Yeah.
I was like,
Because you
"This is
didn't
it."
sleep and then you had the coffee.
Yeah, and it
Yeah.
was obviously, death in a fucking cup. I mean,
Yeah.
but I got through it, man. I got home like 17, 18 hours later, and I felt great. I was like, I fucking
Yeah.
did that. I fucking did that. And it's such a good feeling afterwards.
Sometimes like that, just the thought of like laying down in your own bed is like good enough to like that's always what I tell myself when I'm having a long day or some shitty situation. I'm like, tonight I'm gonna be able to lay down in bed, listen to a podcast, and go to bed. Like it's such a comforting feeling.
For
But also
sure.
you had a lot of. I feel like I would feel worse if I was in those situations here than I would be in New York, because like you say, it's like you feel all crappy and you're like, oh man. But then did you have to tell yourself like, dude, I'm in New York. I live in New York. I
It
can
was
go.
a reminder. I had to remind myself, man.
Yeah.
I'm like, I could be suffering in fucking Cincinnati, Ohio right now.
Where you can't get falafels at 2 a.m. or
I
whatever.
know, like kebab and naan, $3, dude.
Yeah, what were the best like finds that you had? Like food wise, like
Fucking hell. Well, I'll always love Anna Maria Pizza in Williamsburg, Brooklyn. They had $5 pasta pizza. They had $5 chicken bacon ranch
wait,
pizza.
so was it like Cece's pizza? You know, like the classic macaroni pizza,
is-
but it was good?
It's vodka sauce, penny pasta.
Oh yeah?
Yeah, it was so fucking good, man.
I would wager it's not as good as the Cece's mac and cheese pizza, bro.
Jesus, it would be a crazy toss-up. It would be a toss-up for the ages, man. A pasta fucking age.
Yeah.
But, I don't know, man.
So what were your main activities? Like because did you do? I mean, the bars are open way later there, right? Do they ever close?
The bars close at 4 a.m. in New York.
4 a.m.
And it was funny. The first few months I lived there, I was still on Florida time.
Oh
So
yeah.
we'd all be out. 2 a.m. struck.
And you're
It
like,
was the first time I ever fell asleep at a fucking bar, man.
yeah.
It was the first time. And it definitely took a lot getting used to just the lifestyle.
Yeah.
I mean, it seriously is a city that never sleeps, I guess you could say.
Mm-hmm.
But I got used to it after a while, and it just became a part of who I was.
Yeah.
It was great learning the streets, and what also kind of resonated with me is how old the city was in comparison to America, you know?
Oh yeah.
I mean, America's obviously a new country still, but New York, in comparison to the rest of the country, is fucking old.
Mm-hmm.
And I just would think to myself, walking down a random street in Brooklyn, like, I bet so much shit has happened on these streets.
But then you look up and there's like a Spotify ad for like
Yeah.
Katy Perry's new single,
which
or
was
something.
probably like Uncle Perry's fucking bakery.
Uncle Perry,
or whoever.
that's her great ancestor. My great
Exactly.
ancestor once. No, but like yeah, that's like, it's cool. I've always wanted to. I do want to try living somewhere else, but you also got to go to a lot of shows, right?
I did.
That's a big change, because like I feel like in Orlando there's maybe 1 or 2 good shows a year where I like really want to go.
Yeah, I mean,
You saw a shit ton, right?
the music never stops in fucking New York either. And
Yeah.
like, I saw Grizzly Bear at the Bernie Sanders rally in Brooklyn.
Oh yeah, you met Ed Frost, right?
Yeah, we met. We took a selfie. That was pretty. What a sweet man he is. I saw Gary Newman twice.
Mm-hmm.
I love Gary Newman.
Me, I eat dust.
I sung fucking Cars in Austin.
Oh yeah.
And it was really
Me in
awkward.
my car.
It was so awkward because the MIDI file, or it was a YouTube video. It ended right when the lyrics did. So it ended mid song, and I was like,
You're screaming.
and I'm done.
Oh, you did karaoke of it.
Yeah,
Okay,
karaoke of it, yeah. But anyways, yeah, I saw a bunch of cool shows.
You saw Mac DeMarco, didn't you?
I saw him 2 days in a row, actually, which
Yeah.
was cool. Shout out to my cousin Joey. He got us tickets to the show at Radio City, and then he came out.
Shout out Joey.
Yeah, we went out to a show he had literally announced at that show
Yeah.
for the next
That's
day.
Riley's son, right?
Riley's son.
Riley's son.
Riley's unofficial son, Joey Beverett. Hope he's doing well. Bless. But
It's his unofficial son because if he was his official son, his name would be Tanner.
exactly.
Yeah.
And Tanner is another completely different conversation. Probably for the next time, but we'll figure it out.
That's a whole bucket of worms,
It
as
really
they
is.
say.
Wait until you get Tracy Gray on.
That's a whole
here.
carton of eggs, if you know. No, but yeah, that's really cool that you did that. Did you throughout the whole time? Did you get a chance to walk on the street and go, "I'm walking here"?
Too many times.
Hey, I'm
dude.
walking here.
Too many times. I mean, that's the first thing Riley did when he played a show with Transcendental
said he
Telecom.
did it?
Yeah, man.
Hey, I'm walking
Hey,
here.
I'm walking here. Oh man,
Why can I get a cup of Joe around here?
It's so weird too, and those kind of New Yorkers are a dying breed.
Yeah.
Everyone is an
Yeah, because
implant.
it's all
Everyone is an
gentrified or
implant.
whatever.
And it's happening everywhere in this country where
Oh, you said implant. I thought you said eggplant. I was like, is that some like new term to like talk about like gentrifying
eggplant,
hipsters?
dude. I hate eggplant.
Yeah.
But
All
all of these implants in New York City, man. And all these, old school New Yorkers that talk like this.
New
And
York.
Yeah, I would say I probably only met like, I can't even count.
Well,
on my
because
fucking hands.
you're in a pretty hip area though, right? You're in
I was
Williamsburg?
I was the first. Well, I was in Bushwick for the first 6 months, and then I lived in Queens for the rest.
Yeah.
Which is, it's
Did
not
you
hip.
see Kevin James?
I didn't see Kevin James.
Damn. He is the king of Queens. No, but so you moved back last year?
I moved back in October this year,
past October.
2018. Yeah, I was over it, man.
Well,
Enough
you
was
came
enough.
back and then went back, right? Or no, were you just
I
there the
would
whole
come
time?
back every winter, near enough.
Okay,
I would
maybe
come
that's what
back
I'm
for
thinking
a
of.
good portion of the winter to avoid this foot of snow.
Yeah.
like,
So are you done with it? Would you ever go back?
I'd go back to visit, but I don't think
You'd live there?
I'd live there. Seriously I'm at the point in my life where I'm working at the Golf Channel now, and I really love it.
Yeah, how did that come into play?
Well, when I moved back to Florida, my next challenge was to work for the Golf Channel,
Yeah.
because I always have loved golf.
They have a headquarters in Orlando, right?
Yeah, their headquarters, is in
Where
Orlando.
at in Orlando?
It's literally right across the street from Universal.
Oh, okay.
It's on Sand Lake and Kirkman, near enough. But it's a fucking great place to work. Like, I love golf. I love TV productions.
Yeah.
And so I ended up just doing that, and I've been there for 3 months now.
Yeah. And that's got to be a dream come true because you said you've been into golf since how old?
Fuck. I mean, that's another thing my dad got me into when I was like 7 or 8 was golf, and living it.
Which that's crazy, an 8-year-old liking golf.
I know. It was a crazy life, man.
But so you're doing like editing stuff, right?
I have like an entry level job right now. I would like to build my way up to like becoming a full-time editor.
Yeah.
But that's the goal right now, and just I want to move out to downtown Orlando, get an apartment, hang out, and just go from there,
So what's the other? You went to Portland recently too, right? So
Yeah.
What is your list? I like to ask people about like their places that they live. So you've lived in Florida. You lived in England when you were a kid.
Mm-hmm.
You've lived in New York, and then you visited Portland. Like, is Portland on that list?
To actually want to live.
Yeah,
there?
like, is that something you would want to do?
If I had a good job opportunity in Portland, I would love to live there. I think it's an amazing place. It was something, it was a very random trip I took last November. One of my good friends, Buffy, that I met on Worst Cooks in America, another goofy Food Network show.
Yeah.
I've been wanting to visit her for a long time, and I ended up doing it. We had a great time. Saw my first mountain. That was a fucking trip.
You saw your first mountain?
Saw my first mountain.
Yeah.
It was really weird. Like, one second it was green and rainy, and the next it was a complete whiteout.
Yeah.
Such a weird experience.
Well, that's probably a similar. Did it feel? The people, did they feel different than
Again,
in New York?
Portland is full of implants.
It's all implants now, right? Dude, that's everywhere too. Austin.
Everywhere.
Austin's
Austin.
like that too.
Yeah. I mean, I love Austin to death too. I mean, I just went there a couple weeks ago. I would probably have to say I would rather live in Austin than Portland.
Yeah.
But
Austin's where it's at.
that's probably like just my sentimentality speaking.
Yeah.
But
Because of the memories there.
yeah, I mean, just walking down Barton Springs Creek Road or whatever, it's just I've had so many fucking dreams about just that stretch of road.
Going into the festival
Just
grounds.
like
Yeah.
go like Zilker Park and then the street and then the city. I would just have dreams around there.
Dude,
It's really bizarre.
I get so jaded with the music festival stuff nowadays because it's so weird just with music in general. I feel like I started so early that I feel like I became like an old asshole like sooner. Like I'm only 23 and I'm like still young like in the game, but I already feel like I'm like a 30-year-old dude who's like hasn't made it yet. And I'm like, "Oh, screw these dudes." But like even the festivals, because the first time we went, I was in 8th grade, 7th grade or something. And you see how different it is now. Like now you show up and it's like all the lineups are the same pretty much every year. But still I get so jaded, but then you go and you realize you're like, "Oh, these are really fun." Like remember the last time we went, me, you, Riley, Julian,
And
and we like went, and I feel like the lineup I wasn't even crazy excited for, but I still have such good memories. Like
yeah.
the Danny Brown pit, we were like so good. And then remember we were just like, so we got overpriced Miller Lights for I think like 4 of us each got one. I think it was like $250. We got those, and then we were like, oh well, there's really no one we even want to see tonight. Let's just like walk around.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden we just walked past the stage, and then remember we found ourselves at was it Skepta? Who's the grime artist? He's like, so
Yeah.
to the right, to the right,
Yeah,
right,
yeah,
right.
yeah.
And then it's like
You know?
stuff like that is like, oh man, this is like so fun.
Yeah.
And that's like I try to keep hold of that like fond memory. And also like I have such good memories with it where I feel like I'll always love ACL. But then some of the other festivals you see and you're like, oh man, like I went to Coachella one year and it's like it's so different now. Like it goes from being like indie legends, they get like My Bloody Valentine to reunite, to like this year it was like Ariana Grande, which is fine, but it's just like it's so crazy, and it makes sense because it's just the way like the world is changing and just the whole like media landscape. It's becoming more popular to like popular music is becoming more.
It's like all of these hipsters were going to these festivals and all the they were starting to lose money and they were like, well, let's start doing pop music. So we got all the pop kids doing it now.
Yeah.
So, I mean, but when it comes to just all of that shit, I'm such a cynic when it comes to that because I cannot stand all of that shit, and it's just the way it is.
It's something I want to work on. I feel like I'm like so
Oh yeah,
cynical.
you and I both, man.
Well, that's that classic British cynicism, huh?
I mean, think about it. Being around Riley and having that English background, it's just a recipe for fucking misery.
Yeah, but I think it does go down to
no offense, Riley.
Shout out Riley. This is the ASMR section.
Ah shit.
Do some ASMR. Do some ASMR.
Well, I don't even know what that means, man.
No, but yeah, man. Like, I feel like we've gotten way. It's funny. Like, these people are you've been in my life for a while. I mean, because you've known Riley for forever, and Riley's like my best friend.
Mm-hmm.
But it's cool how someone you'll see them by proxy. Mm-hmm. But then I feel like in the past couple years, as you get older, you really start to connect on stuff, and I feel like that's been happening the past like year or so as we've been like, I don't know, do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, kind
of. Like
yeah.
Someone who I'll just be like, oh, that's my older brother's friend when you grow up, to where like I can have like a deep conversation with you about like, it's just that's the stuff that trips me out about getting older.
Yeah.
As you just like the way your relationships morph. Like
they evolve. They're all Pokemon in a way.
Yeah. And I feel like I'm on Ivysaur right now.
Oh yeah.
I'm still waiting for Bulbasaur.
True. No, I understand what you're saying. I mean, that goes to say for a lot of aspects in life. I mean, it goes with interests, it goes with this and that, and you just have to take life every day for what it is. And obviously when you have history with someone, you're gonna be more inclined to be closer with that person as opposed to just meeting someone. I mean, you can make friends any day of the week, but you can't make history every day of the week.
It's weird. I feel like I've noticed it more the past like a year or so. I feel like I've had like all of these experiences that I have. We've talked about it before, where as you get older, these experiences that you would like have newer meaning to it. Like going on a vacation with your family all of a sudden becomes like this bittersweet thing because you start as you get older you realize, oh, we're all getting older. All of my cousins aren't here. All this stuff isn't here.
Yeah.
And I feel like that's really affected me also in like you and Tracy and stuff. People who I was
Christ, don't even get me started on existentialism because that's like the struggle I
Yeah.
have right now.
but we've always been cool, but I feel like recently I've been, I guess just because I'm maturing, I feel like I can connect with these people more. And there's a story I think you told me where you and Riley have, I mean, I'm sure you and Riley have had that happen over time, like times 10 because you've been so close with them. But like, I think I remember you telling me like you guys like going off to college, or was it graduating college the night before, and you're just like having this like existential thing where you're just like,
yeah, we had a good laugh and a good cry in the car. I remember kind of,
Yeah.
but I mean, that was just a big moment. That was just literally, it was like closing the door of childhood in a way.
yeah,
And once that door is closed, it's obviously you can't open it again. But I mean, such is life with everything else. I mean, everything comes to an end in some way or form
right,
eventually, and it's just the quicker you learn to accept that, the more beautiful the moment can be, kind
Right.
of thing.
being in the moment.
Yeah, and that's the most important thing I'm starting to really try to work on because I've always been such a nostalgic fuck.
Oh yeah,
Like I've always wanted the past, always wanted what it was, but then I think to myself, that means I should want right now because this is gonna be what was
Yeah.
one day.
yeah. That's the thing too. Is I think of that with like just stuff I'm into as well. Like say an album or a movie. You're like, oh, this is cool, but then you're like, wait, in 10 years, this is gonna be so different. You're gonna look at it a different way. But I feel like I'm the opposite. I'm always looking to the future, but not in a good way, in like a nervous way.
Really?
So I guess we got to both put our heads together, just
Maybe
stay
we'll
right
meet
here.
somewhere in the middle.
Yeah. But yeah, it's tough getting older, dude.
Yeah, and I'm also into yoga a lot.
Oh yeah, does that help you out?
It does, and like I was going to the class at LA Fitness, and this teacher that left probably last month, Deborah. She had been working there for years, but I went to her class on and off.
Yeah.
And she said something really kind of profound the last class she had, and it was like, everyone gets older, but it is up to you how you age. You can do things that are good for you, and you can do things that are bad for you. And depending on where your head's at and how you feel about life, I mean, it really kind of resonated with me because you can age with a lot more grace.
Yeah.
Or as much grace as you want. And age doesn't have to be this terrible thing. It really doesn't. I mean,
No.
You can't let age be the enemy because once it does, it totally fucking encapsulates you,
Yeah.
You become it. You become old and shitty. But if you just, still have that point of mind where you go to ACL and you still dance to fucking
Yeah.
Skepta and Skrillex and if you never lose that, I mean, it's such an important thing to really have and to never lose, no matter how fucking goofy it is.
Yeah.
I hope to God that you shoot me the moment that I lose my goofiness.
Yeah.
Like I hold on to that so dear, and I that's something I can say is kind of good about me, I guess, is that I try so hard to make light of everything because life's too serious.
I feel like that's how I am too sometimes.
Yeah, and just you can't lose that, man. You can't become an old middle-aged piece of shit that works a 9 to 5. You'll get fat, you'll get wrinkly, you'll get miserable.
All right.
And like always have time for a beer, but always have time for the fucking gym too.
So yeah. So are you gonna let me know when you're like, so next time you're like in the future in 10 years or whatever, you're watching like a YouTube video of like a viral cat video and you don't laugh, you're gonna give me a call and I'm gonna shoot you.
Yeah,
just
probably.
Like you said.
I mean, I probably wouldn't laugh at that video right now because I'm such a cynical bastard. But
I'll probably own a gun. I'll probably own a gun by then. We'll probably all need it here in America.
Right. Jesus.
But yeah. All right. So I think that's a good encapsulation of you. Something I like to do is, what's something right now that you're really into, something that you've been engaging with, or whether it be a new juice, a new baseball card that you got.
You know, man, it's funny you asked me that, and this is gonna sound really silly, but
Yeah.
I've really been getting into headstands,
Yeah.
and the fact that I can
Have you always been able to do them, or is that no?
It was a thing I literally found out I could do like last
Yeah.
month. I seriously just started doing a handstand,
Yeah.
and I fucking was able to do it.
Does that come from the yoga?
It was just they don't even do it in yoga. I just did it at my house one day,
Yeah.
and it happened, and then I was so happy that I was able to do something so minute and kind of dumb.
Yeah.
But
little stuff like that is like really powerful.
it is, man, and like hashtag hee-haw headstands. Look it up.
Hashtag hee-haw headstands.
Remember
Wait,
that.
headstands or handstands?
Headstands.
Headstands.
I mean, I'm still not to the handstand.
Headstands
point.
is when you do that, right?
Yeah, exactly. But I mean, it's just
I put my arms up. I realize you can't see that.
look it up. You'll see how it's done. I could even
We'll tag it.
maybe do a tutorial video one day.
No, that's exactly what I'm looking for. Is like I always like when I try to ask it, it's hard to phrase it, but that's the exact thing that I want to get. Just some weird, random esoteric thing that like that's perfect though. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's cool, man. I mean, when you learn to do a headstand, you see the world in a different kind of like perspective. Like,
Damn, bro.
It's as if like the world is upside down, but then at the same time, like maybe what we're seeing right now is what it's upside down.
Yeah.
So I mean, who's to say?
That's some deep stuff.
Yeah.
All right, dude. Shout
right,
out,
bro.
Bobby. You're a good boy.
Shout out to all my boys, all my girls, all that man.
Yo, shout out Riley. Shout out Tracy.
Shout out to Beetlejuice.
Shout out.
Shout out.
Where's Tracy or where's Tanner?
Where's Tanner? Listen, if you find Tanner, call the police. He is in.
It's been too long,
It
right?
has been probably a good 20 years, and we still haven't found him.
But he's still 7 years old. That's the weird thing.
We lost him at ACL so long ago, and we're really trying to look for him.
So, Tanner, if you're out there, I know Tanner's a big Joe Rogan head. I think he's listening to a podcast by now.
Probably.
He's probably getting into some.
Probably high as hell, smoking a groin.
Yeah, we'll see. All right, Tanner. Message me at 40. No, I'm kidding. All right, bye, Bobby. Well, not bye, because I'll probably see you after.